from 6 of our graduating seniors about their experience here at King, particularly as it regards to their spiritual development and how God has used this place and people in this place and circumstances to shape them. Many of you have had much to do with their lives. So I've asked these people to just share a little bit about who they are and how they came to King and a brief testimony, and then we're going to just pursue some questions with them to see, hear their stories and see how God has kind of shaped and molded them in their time here. So we'll just start here and just go right down the line.
Well, hi, I'm Mackenzie Neely. I'm a senior and I'm graduating with a degree in youth ministry and a minor in photography. I came to King through like a series of weird events that my youth pastor went here and studied with Dan, and his wife was an English major here, both very dear and near to my heart, and so I came here as a freshman, not sure really what I wanted to do, except I knew I was somewhat artistic and I liked to take pictures, and that I wanted to do something that would make a difference in the world, but I wasn't really sure where I would fit in with that. And through another series of strange events, I had a senior, which is weird to me to think now that I am that level of influence in someone's life that I could just say something and be like, hey, you should check this out. But that's what happened. A senior said, hey, you should check out youth ministry. And here we are, 4 years later. And so just God has really walked with me through that, and I've found a real passion for students and just influencing their life in such a pivotal time, crucial time where they need people that care about them. And so that's what I'm hoping to do once I leave here is influence kids, hang out with teenagers for the rest of my life. So that's a little bit about me.
Hi, I'm Tia. I'm also a youth ministry major, and I'm also a psychology major. I'm from Georgia, and I'm actually not entirely sure how I ended up at King. It's kind of a long story, and it kind of really just happened, like a lot of things happened in my life. But so originally when I came, I thought I knew what I wanted to do. Like I had a general idea. I was really into sports, so I thought that in order to keep that, I was going to do athletic training. And as soon as I got here, like Mackenzie, one of the seniors and Dan talked to me and convinced me to go to Camden, and were telling me that I should look into some of the youth men classes, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll try it out. So after I tried it out, God started tugging on my heart, pulling me towards that way. And for a long time, I really fought it because it's something that I was not comfortable with. I was completely, like, I loved it, but at the same time, I did not think I was good at it, and I didn't think I was capable of doing it. But, so I fought it for a really long time, and finally I got to a point where it was, where I really felt like if I was to continue on with athletic training, like it was gonna be
Either bats or what?
and things were gonna just blow up, which they were doing. So I ended up switching over, and it was like a weight was lifted off my chest, and I came into like a community of people that have believed in me in a way that I don't think I've ever seen people believe in me before, and it was like farther beyond like my physical abilities, and it started making me believe in myself. So yeah.
I'm Jared McKinney. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I transferred here my sophomore year to play soccer. And funny, when I got here, I decided I didn't want to play soccer anymore. I'm a history major. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. It looks like unemployment, probably. So I think I plan to go to seminary. I don't know what after that, just kind of sort of working it out slowly.
My name, is this working? Okay. Yes. My name is Trevor Wynn. I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I came to King to wrestle. I'm a senior on the wrestling team, and have finished 5 years of hell weeks and craziness. I came to King. One of my teammates, one of my former teammates here and in high school, his dad was talking to Coach Nate, the former wrestling coach here, and they were recruiting him, but didn't have a lot of money my senior year, and so I'd completely forgotten to pay for my clearinghouse. For you athletes in the building, you know about that. And so I couldn't have any coaches or any schools contact me, so I wasn't getting scholarship offers, I wasn't getting acceptances for the first, 2/3 of my senior year. So it was a little bit nerve-wracking, like, holy crap, I gotta go to college and I'm not getting in anywhere. And, God kind of kept pushing me towards coming to King. And in July, like super late scholarship offer, I got offered a 2/3 right here. And so I said, okay, there's money. And I was waiting for a financial aid statement from another school, and they wanted me to take out like $15,000 in loans, like right off the bat, plus whatever student loans that I'd have to take from the government, things like that. I said, well, Jesus, I guess I'm gonna wrestle. Don't really want to, but I'm gonna do it. And so that's what I ended up doing, and God has shaped me a lot through this time. I really, honestly didn't want to stay at King. I tried to transfer out my first 2 years to go to Virginia Tech and study industrial design, but God had other plans, and a photo major here, and a minor in biblical studies and intercultural studies. And God kind of kept pulling my heart towards ministry, and I kept trying to run away from it. I want to be a pastor at this point and plant a church somewhere, pastor for the rest of my life, but I just kept trying to run away, and Jesus kind of said, no, you're going to be here, and you're going to learn what it looks like to go into that position, to lead a group of people, and then to move on to seminary. So that's where I'm going, and that's where I came from.
So I'm Blake Adams. I'm a business management major, a minor in youth ministry. I'm from Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. As a senior, like how I got to King is I was a senior in high school, and I was a soccer player. I really enjoyed soccer, and multiple injuries, knee surgery, concussions. I realized that my senior year is ending and I'm not going to be able to play soccer. So I cycled on the side. I enjoyed cycling, but I never really competed, and I realized that there was a chance for a cycling scholarship, and I met Dan at King, and I ended up coming here. And I thought I was coming here for cycling, and God began to use me in many different ways. Dan ended up talking me into being a youth ministry minor, and just being plugged into various things such as life and other things. And I realized that I'm here much more than just cycling, so I enjoy it.
I'm Bonnie Durrett, and I'm from Paducah, Kentucky, and it's on the far western tip, so I really had never heard of Bristol or King when I was in high school. And I originally signed to play basketball with a school that was in Chicago, Illinois. And towards the end of high school, it was actually 2 weeks before it was time for me to go there, I decided that I had made a really poor decision. And so I was like just praying to God about it. And I was like, if there's another place that you have for me, I need you to show me, and kind of quickly, because I'm 2 weeks away from moving to Chicago. And the next day, a junior college coach called me, who I'd also never heard of, and she spoke to me, and within a few days of just different things that needed to be taken care of, I had signed with them, and I went to school there. And after I played there for a year, the coach here at King contacted me, and I ended up coming here to play basketball. And I am a Spanish major. I'm not sure if I will ever do anything that is involved with Spanish, but over the last 2 years, really, God has, I think I came in with kind of a cold heart toward ministry, and God really just kind of changed my heart towards that, and He has, through basketball and through relationships that I've had with people here at King and in my church, He's really opened my heart to ministry. So my life is filled with a lot of randomness, and I see myself working in ministry, so it could be pretty much in any aspect, but I kind of see myself going down that road.
Okay, great. So, why don't you share, whoever wants to share, what have been some key circumstances, situations, things that have happened either that King has put on intentionally, or things that have happened through organizations like FCA or whatever, that have been influential in your spiritual development in your time here?
Tia and I are gonna have a similar answer anyways. We were talking about it yesterday, but I came in and once I decided to do youth ministry and really made that switch originally, I was a photo major with a youth ministry minor, and about halfway through my sophomore year, I decided that was just a bad decision for my well-being. And so I switched, flip-flopped that, so I was a youth ministry major and a photo minor. And but I still didn't know what I wanted to do with that. I thought the kind of typical response you have to hearing youth ministry is you think church, right? Like you think a youth pastor, so I thought about that, and I thought, well, that'd be okay, I could do that. And so that was kind of my goal. I was heading that direction, and I actually worked at a church. We talk about a thing in youth ministry all the time called burnout, and that's just it's real, and your pastors and your ministers experience it. It's just when you are in a position where you're giving constantly and you're not getting filled up properly, there's a disconnect there, and you can become really unhealthy in your ministry. And that was at the point that I was about a year ago. I was in a very bad place spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and I was just tired, and I just thought, I'm not doing this. I can't do this the rest of my life. I can't keep going. So I took a class called Varied Context, which is youth ministry in varied context, which is where we talk about the idea that youth ministry doesn't have to happen in a church building. It can happen on a sports field. It can happen, in something like Young Life, like a parachurch ministry. It can happen in a lot of different ways, and we look at that, what it looks like to meet kids where they are. And I took a trip to Camden, New Jersey with that class, and I'm sure you're all probably sick and tired of hearing the youth ministry majors talk about Camden, but it changed my life. I mean, it really did. It rocked me to the core, and it showed me that there's something bigger than just meeting kids in a church building for an hour a week, that there is going to where they are, meeting them in the place that they are, and saying the circumstances that surround you are not who you are. You're defined by something greater than that. And so I became really passionate for urban ministry in general. So that was a really impacting experience in my life. I was very changed by that in a core way. And I think that a lot of people that go there would tell you the same thing. Even if you're not a youth ministry major, I would hasten to suggest that trip to you, because I think it will shake something in you that you didn't expect. So that's something that really changed me and really has affected the course of my life now, and also has brought me closer to people here at King that I went on that trip with that are now some of my closest friends. So that's a really key event in my time at King.
I would say for me, it's probably just been overall classes. Being able to take classes with professors like Paul Warhurst or Shannon Harris, they encourage the difficult questions. And then at the prodding of Shannon Harris, I joined the Beekner people thing, the little cult-like group on campus. And it's been really nice to get to spend time with people who address the doubts that you weren't even aware that you had. And they come and they talk about them, and you get to have serious, intimate conversation with them about things that they've struggled with, or just even listen to them lecture. And it's just been very encouraging to be a Christian doesn't mean to check your brain at the door, as Don Hudson would say. And I think that's probably two of the biggest things for me.
I think for me, some of the organizations that really have impacted me is first off FCA. I've been FCA president here for 3 years, been on leadership for 4, I guess 4.5. I got plugged in from it. It's really interesting. I had one of the worst roommate stories ever. First night that I came to King, my roommate came back from a party, puked on the floor, didn't see it when I woke up because it was clear. I stepped in it, it was gross. My mom cleaned it up. She was still here that early, launch weekend. But this teammate ended up going to FCA one night, and I didn't go. I didn't know that it existed. And he told me, that I think this is something that you would like, that you would vibe off of. And so I was like, all right, Jesus thing. I'm, still not going to church. Didn't have church at this point. So I said, all right, I'll go. And that was the first place that I kind of got plugged in consistently. And I don't know, it was a huge effect. I mean, by the end of the year, I was asked to be on FCA leadership, and from there, you know, continued to grow. And I guess people saw potential in me, and I was asked to be president. And I've learned through a lot of failures, and you know, a lot of highs and a lot of lows. You know, different ways to lead a ministry, and to follow God in that. And then another organization that has been huge for me is Crew. Crew's affiliated with FCA here. That's why Wednesday nights are Illuminate. Crew and FCA come together, put on a Wednesday night thing. And so Crew, I got involved in a discipleship group with Crew my sophomore year, when I was about to head into becoming president of FCA the next year. Before I really even knew anything about Crew, I ended up on a summer missions project with them. It was a 10-week project in Virginia Beach, and stayed there all summer and rocked me spiritually in, you know, ways that I can't even explain. Really just revealed unrealized pride in me, and God humbled me and grew me in a lot of ways. And then the next summer I went to Central Asia with Crew, and God, he put me through some circumstances. It was a tough summer, but it was also a really growing summer for me. And I came back a different person. And then throughout the years, Crew, I've been involved with discipleship through Crew, and so I've had 3 distinct individuals who've been spiritual leaders in my life from Crew, and have just helped to develop me as a leader, as a Christian, and as a person. So that's my story.
So, yeah, if you would ask me if I would have been involved in any type of ministry before I came to King, the answer would have been no. I didn't think I would have been involved in that. And I came to King. I was involved in Crew with Trevor. That's how I kind of got plugged in to begin with. And I became a small discipleship leader there. And then I just remember talking with Dan, and he talked me into trying a few youth ministry classes. And the more I realized that God can use you wherever you're at. He can, you know, you don't have to be in a church setting just to be used in ministry. And I began to realize that, and I got more plugged in with ministry. And through that, we had to do, just like everything, you have to do an internship before you graduate. And Dan introduced me to a few guys over here that's doing Young Life in Bristol. And I went to Camden and with Mackenzie, and I began to realize that, you know, how ministry can be used, and wherever you're at, that there are kids that need to hear the word. And I began to realize that that's also here. That's not just in Camden or in, you know, different countries, that's also here. And part of that is just being present in their lives. And I get to do that through Young Life. So I'm plugged into that, and it's beyond just my internship, and I really enjoyed that.
Trevor talked about Crew, and I haven't been involved with them, but I have been involved with a branch ministry of theirs, which is Athletes in Action. And I'd have to say that was a huge, just a huge thing for me, because when I went with them, I went with them to Guatemala to play basketball in a few different places there, and just travel around, talk to the kids and everything. And while I was there, it really, I think it made me vulnerable to be away, and just to be away from everything that I was familiar with. And during that time, God really just kind of changed my perspective. I had a lot of my identity in sports, and I was chasing after a lot of the wrong things. And He really changed my heart toward basketball and toward, like I said a minute ago, toward ministry or whatever. But another big thing, I think that Jared might have said, would be the faculty and the staff here at King. It's what makes me love King, because you get to develop all these relationships with your teachers and with like people that you work for and stuff, and they don't just give you the answers. They let you question, and they let you search search for what you believe. And Dan talks about owning your faith, and that's really what they push you to do. And that's kind of, I don't know, I think that those have been probably the two biggest things that have helped me.
All right, so another question. What encouragement would you give to others who are not graduating in a couple of weeks' time for taking up opportunities for spiritual growth and development? How would you encourage them?
Well, I would say that, there are multiple opportunities all around. It's more of looking for them and keeping your eyes and your heart and everything open. Like if you're closed off and you're like, no, I don't want to do it, then I feel like you're not really going to find any. And also getting outside of your comfort zone. Although it is hard, I feel like, I know personally for me, that has been the times where I've seen the most spiritual growth in myself. So getting out of your comfort zone, keeping your eyes open, just looking for it, watching.
I think along the same lines, I would encourage you to go outside of your major. Don't just take classes that are key to you graduating. Like I know that you're all on your minds right now, you're all thinking, this is how long I have to graduate, this is how many class hours I need, this is the class I need to take. But if that's all you're doing in college, then you're doing yourself a disservice. There's so much more here. There's so many more, like Jared was saying, there's so many professors with so much knowledge and wisdom, and they want to pour into you. That's why they're here. We have professors that could be anywhere. I'm taking a class from Dr. McDonald this semester, and it's changing my spiritual life. It's rocking me to my core. It's not just reading Lord of the Rings, which is awesome, but it's also talking about things, real things, spiritual things that are affecting me currently. And so if I had just stuck to my majors, I would never have taken that class. I don't need it for anything. I just wanted to, and I'm learning so much through that. And so I would encourage you, step outside. Do you want to take a class about the New Testament? Do it. You want to take a class about anatomy or biology? Then do it. Don't just stick yourself in a box that says, like, this is what I have to learn to graduate, or you're going to cut yourself off from so many good and beautiful things that God is trying to give you.
I think something that's important is, a lot of times I think when you're younger at King, in college in general, it's really easy, if you're passionate about growing in your faith and things like that, that you end up putting yourself into too many things. You overstretch yourself, and I'm a picture of that for people who've known me for the last 5 years, and you will burn out. Like it's not good. And so get involved, whether in a local church around here, or one of the organizations that we've talked about, Young Life Crew, FCA, or other things that you can do like that. But don't overstretch yourself. Don't be in, like, don't go to 15 Bible studies and then be involved in FCA Crew, Young Life, and then go to 3 church services on Sunday and then lead a Bible study on Monday night. Like you will die spiritually and potentially physically. People have seen me close to death here, for real. So, for real, don't stretch yourself too thin.
So, I guess when I was underclassmen, I kept waiting for a place to kind of find me, a place to plug in to kind of find me, or for it to feel right, or for me to fit in, or whatever it may be, whether I feel like it's I'm called to be here. But I believe there's a lot of opportunities, and you just need to take them. There's things like Crew, there's places to plug in, and it doesn't have to be just ministry of some sort. It could be giving back to the community. There's so many different ways of just getting plugged in and to seeing how God can use you, but you have to be willing to open up and to do that first. So.
Just last question, I know this is the scariest one of all. But what are your hopes for the future? King, you spent 2 to 4 years here at King and talked about circumstances and situations and all those things that have shaped you. And so the hope is, my hope is, and I know the faculty's hope is, that the growth that has begun here doesn't stop. So I know it's scary, just a little bit. What are your hopes?
I mentioned it earlier that I'm going to seminary, and then from there I plan to plant a church and pastor. I'm going to Regent College in Vancouver, British Columbia, which my mom really hates the fact that I'm moving to Canada and on the other side of America, and it was a pretty terrifying conversation. But yeah, I'm going out there, and a huge reason is because they incorporate art into their Master's in Divinity program, which is huge for me because I don't want to lose all the stuff that I've learned through here and the potential that I have as an artist, but I want to infuse that into the way that I pastor and the way I do ministry, the way I run a church, or potentially being associate pastor or something like that at church. I want to plant a church in an unchurched area in the West, whether Europe or America, because I think a lot of the times that we get so focused on, going overseas and going to the 1040 window and going to Africa and things like that we forget about home. And there are plenty of places at home that still need Jesus and need healthy church environments and need healthy places to plug in. And so that's my heart, and I just plan to pastor for the rest of my life and see God work through that.
So if you'd asked me this question, in fact, Dan did ask me this question a few months ago, and I cried in his office, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do, I have no idea, I'm going to graduate, and I have no plans, and I was just freaking out, and Dan started saying, don't say you don't have any plans, say you have a lot of options to sort out, which sounds a lot better than I don't have any plans. But I didn't have any plans. I thought about moving to Cincinnati. That's where my brother and his wife lived, in a super hipster neighborhood with a super hipster church, and I was like, oh, I could probably do that. And I thought about just going home for a while. I had all these ideas in my head, but nothing was sticking, and I was really frightened about that. I was very scared that I wouldn't have anything after I left King, and that all my education would be wasted. But recently, when I was in Camden the last time, I felt a huge tug at my heart to. They have a year-long internship program, and this is the first time I'm saying this in a huge group of people, but I plan on going there for a year. And doing their year-long internship program, which is to train people to understand their model of ministry at Urban Promise, which is a place that we have a really close relationship here at King, and you understand the way that they're doing ministry, so that way you can go out and do ministry in a similar way in a different place. So I'm hoping to go there for a year, understand really how they're doing ministry and how they're pouring into kids and why it's working so well. And I'm hoping to, after that, possibly move to Cincinnati and do some of that work there for a little while. But I don't like concrete plans, because I've noticed that when I have concrete plans, God brings in the jackhammer and just ruins them all. So I try to keep things pretty fluid. But that's where I'm heading, to do some urban ministry in a place that really needs Jesus' people to show up.
Well, I absolutely don't have any definite plans for right away. If you've been around me here lately, I've been saying just a lot of crazy things that I could do in May, and it's a little bit stressful, but maybe something will work out. But unless something happens that I really feel pulled in another direction, right now I do hope to eventually work for Athletes in Action, and just because I've seen the way that it can really transform athletes' lives, and I know that God's given me a passion for athletes, and so I do see myself doing that eventually. But also, I would have to say that something that I've learned here that my eyes have really been open to is just the freedom that I think we have in serving the Lord. We talk all the time, and I think especially in our culture, about how we have to find God's will for our lives and stuff, and I think a lot of times we get afraid that there's this one thing that we have to do and we might miss it. And I mean, I think that that's probably an unnecessary fear that we have. And so it makes things a lot more confusing sometimes, but it's also, it brings peace and stuff. So I just, I hope wherever I do end up to really just be able to love others the way that I feel that the people here and that the faculty and the staff and the other students have loved me, and be able to make a difference in that way.
Well, I honestly have no idea what I want to do. Well, I want to work with kids, I know that. But except for the biggest thing is, which I don't know if this counts, I feel like it should, but just loving on people and like kids, because like I feel like, especially lately, I've seen Christ's love poured out towards me through a lot of other people, and it has encouraged me that that's what I need to do, and I think that's what I want to do.
So another reason I knew I was meant to be a king is I met my soon-to-be wife here. So I'm getting married in August. So that's my future plans. She's at Vanderbilt, studying deaf and blind education. So I'll be moving to Nashville. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I'm just going to be there and open to what I'm going to do. But I'm excited for God, how God's using her in kids' lives. So I'm sure I'll find something to do.
I'm not really sure about direction for my life, much less God's direction, whatever that looks like. But immediately after school, I'm going on a year-long mission trip to a bunch of different countries. I'm currently in the process of applying to grad school. At King, I was just kind of infected with this unquenchable thirst for knowledge of God, and that's the only thing I see myself doing. I don't know where to lead or what it looks like, but I just want to spend the rest of my life, I guess, in constant communion with Him, learning as much as I can, serving, if that's what it looks like, learning, teaching. No freaking clue.
Well, I want to thank you, not only for sharing your lives with us today, but over the past several years, for your engagement, for your commitment to this place, for your passion, for your willingness to be open to students, to faculty, and to staff. And, we are very proud of you and all those that are graduating with you as you go, and you're going to carry on and be ambassadors, not only for King, and tremendous ambassadors for King, but also for the Lord. And we're so blessed to have had you here and sharing your life with us. So thank you so much. Let's give them a hand. I'm going to dismiss you. We're going to sing, but it's getting late. So let's just pray together, and then I'll dismiss you. Lord God, I just thank you for the stories that we have heard. It is evident that you are alive and active in this place, that you're touching each and every one of us in unique and special ways. I thank you for the faculty, for the staff, for the students, all those that make this place what it is. And I thank you that you are present. And we do commit all the seniors who are graduating to you. We ask that you lead them and direct them, help them to know that you are present with them wherever they find themselves, and that they will go and do good in every part of the world. Thank you for sending your Son and the celebration that we just had this past weekend of his resurrection that gives us life. In Jesus' name, amen. So go and do good. Amen.